All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, in this one, I wanted to ask the question, do you think it's the right decision? Do you agree with Woody Johnson bringing everybody back? Joe Douglas, Nathaniel Hackett, Robert Saleh. It doesn't really seem like a ton of changes are going to be made with the Jets figureheads this offseason. And it begs the question, is this going to be the right move? Now, of course, only time will tell, but I think as fans, it's totally fair to question this decision. Now, it's not to say that Joe Douglas and Saleh, these guys haven't done anything right or they need to be fired, or it's like Matt Patricia in Detroit or something like that, where it's just like you kind of feel like it's like a dead man walking situation. No, like if you go down the list of positives, I mean, there's actually quite a lot to talk about. Douglas has brought in some young core pieces, some future franchise building blocks, assuming everything continues to unfold the way it currently has. Elijah Vera Tucker, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. Garrett Wilson, I mean, he's dominating with horrible quarterback play, horrible play calls, and a horrible offensive line. And he's putting up back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Are you kidding? I mean, that's like DeAndre Hopkins with Houston early in his career, right? Dominating with whoever's throwing him the football. It's really remarkable stuff. You can talk about finding gems, finding diamonds in the rough. Guys like Tony Adams, who's a starter. Guys like Quincy Williams, who's a cast-off from Jacksonville. You can look at defensive linemen that are just always seeming to play up to the level of competition. They just continue to get better. Whether it's Jermaine Johnson taking a step, whether it's, Quentin Jefferson having a career year, Solomon Thomas really looking like a solid rotational piece who I want to see the Jets bring back. Bryce Huff continues to do his thing. Will McDonald has a really bright future. I mean, man, he looks so explosive. And granted, back at Iowa State, he was, explosive and dominant and whatnot. But, seeing him with the New York Jets, my favorite, professional team here, it's been awesome, right? So it's not to say that these guys running the Jets are absolutely horrendous. They've done some things correctly. Right. They've really helped the team in certain areas. In regards to Robert Saleh, his defenses are legit. They might not be my favorite schemes out there, but when you have the personnel and when you have somebody who's experienced in that style of system calling it, they will produce. The 4-3, getting in the backfield, really keeping everything in front of the defense, never really getting burned over the top. Letting your athletes be athletes at corner. I mean, there's a lot to like here defensively. But with that said, right, the whole point of the video, is it the right decision to bring these guys back? If you just were to take those positives, you're like, heck yeah, everything is trending in the right direction. But they have dropped the ball. There's been numerous areas, and we've talked about them all year. To quickly go through them, right? The Aaron Rodgers situation, the quarterback dilemma, not bringing in a veteran backup, not even trying, it almost seemed like Douglas did not even care to try. He couldn't be bothered with it. No, we're not going to sign him. No, we're not going to trade for this guy. No, we will not even work out potential options. It's Zach Seam. He's the guy, despite us saying we're going to redshirt him and the plan is to not play him all year. But now he's the starter. Started pretty much all of the first week. And we're not going to do a single thing beyond this point until the end of September, to where we're going to bring in Trevor Siemian. It makes zero sense. You can talk about offensive line issues as well. Guys are getting hurt. Where are the replacements? We don't have any. Investing so much in players that were coming back from serious injuries. AVT, torn triceps, out for the season. Dwayne Brown, shoulder injury, out for the season. Mekhi Becton, 2 back-to-back seasons missed because of lower body injuries and had knee concerns going into the year where he wasn't even consistent in practice. And then, of course, a rookie at center in Joe Tippmann. And an underperforming left guard in Laken Tomlinson, who's getting paid a ton of money relative to his position, relative to his peers, right? That's, and this is not new information. As Jets fans here, we all talked about it, right? I remember when the Jets brought in Dalvin Cook. We're like, okay, great. This is cool, veteran running back here. This is, he's going to help the team, but what's going on with offensive line? Weeks were going by and no moves were made on offensive line. All these Jets fans were standing around looking at each other like, Okay, I guess the Jets know more than us. I guess Douglas has like a real plan in place, or he can somehow guarantee that everybody's going to stay healthy and everybody's going to exceed expectations. That wasn't the case. That was not the case whatsoever. It turns out, crazy enough, that the offensive line looked horrible and had issues and got beat up throughout the course of the season. And those problems started literally in training camp. That's one problem in and of itself, right? We can talk about wide receiver depth. Corey Davis retires. What happens? Nothing. We trade Elijah Moore. We sign Alan Lazard, right? We sign Randall Cobb. These guys aren't producing. Alan Lazard is making $11 million a season, has been multiple healthy scratches throughout the course of the mid to late parts of the season. I mean, that is ridiculous. First year into a 4-year contract, 4-year, $44 million deal. I mean, I understand it if, oh, we just brought in a new coaching staff, he doesn't fit the system, or he wants out, he's not happy. This is the first year. He's only been here for a couple of months, and he's being benched by undrafted free agents, and it's nothing against undrafted free agents and Xavier Gibson and Jason Brownlee, but I mean, like you would think that, if you're bringing a guy in on a 4-year multi-year deal where you're paying him double digits, yeah, there should be a plan in place. Also, with the absence of Corey Davis, there's more targets to go around. There's shoes to fill there, and he's a healthy scratch. I mean, that's not a good situation whatsoever. Randall Cobb, right? You part ways with Elijah Moore. I get it, he wants to leave. Might have been like a locker room cancer, but it really seemed like they parted ways with Moore, and they're like, okay, Randall Cobb's going to do everything that Moore can do. Right? Release Braxton Berrios, another like slot shiftier guy who can make plays over the middle of the field on third downs, things of that sort, right? Reverses and whatnot. We let him go. We let Elijah Moore go, and we replace him with Randall Cobb. Again, a player who's being scratched, not because of injury. Concerning stuff. We can look at signing McCole Hardman and then trading him, a couple of months later for a 2025 6th-round pick. That pick won't even help us this offseason. Who knows? Maybe it's not even going to be Joe Douglas making that draft pick. It's harsh, it's blunt, but it's a fair question at this point in time. We can talk about, Nathaniel Hackett and all of the problems, all of the drama, not only coming in from Denver, where he was fired not even one full season into his Denver Broncos tenure, where much like Alan Lazard, he signed a multi-year deal to become a head coach. You don't see guys, right? And I'm not talking about an interim head coach. You don't see guys getting hired on a huge, a big multi-year deal, right? He's the guy, he's the new head coach, he's going to install the, culture and everything like that. You don't see somebody like that get fired not even one full season into their tenure. You just don't, unless there's major problems. So of course the Broncos weren't winning, but there was quarterback question marks, there was quarterback drama, there was offensive line inconsistencies, you had players frustrated. You had zero accountability in Denver under Nathaniel Hackett. They get rid of him. All of a sudden, literally the next week, the offense perks up. I don't think that's a coincidence. He comes over to the Jets, and the Jets look worse with Moore than we did with Mike LaFleur. That's an issue. That is an issue. It's not like Hackett was brought in on the fly. Oh man, I got to take over play calling this week. No, according to Saleh, he looked at, I think it was 10 or 11 candidates, and he got his guy, Nathaniel Hackett, excuse me. And the offense all season was a joke. It was god-awful, and I understand it. Injuries, Aaron Rodgers, the system's built for Aaron Rodgers. I get that. But where, and this term keeps popping up, where's the proactive approach? Where is the question within the organization saying, well, hold on, Rodgers is 40, playing on a bad turf, playing behind a bad offensive line. What happens if he gets hurt? Did anybody ask that question from general manager to head coach to offensive coordinator to quarterback coach? Did anybody suggest that possibility? You would like to think, yeah, but the actions speak louder than words, and the actions say, no, they didn't. Or they did, and they overvalued Zach Wilson tremendously. But then they contradict that by saying, well, the plan wasn't to play him all year. We need to redshirt him. The plan was to redshirt him. So clearly they didn't hold Zach in that high of a regard, because if that was the case, he would have been the backup quarterback and there wouldn't have been any sort of weird questions or any sort of weird statements with that. So, man, weird thing after weird thing, disappointment after disappointment. And then also, right, to kind of top things off, we're watching the Cleveland Browns game on Thursday Night Football. We're watching that Washington Commander game. I mean, we're talking week 16, week 17, and guys are completely confused. Guys are completely confused, and it's one thing if it's happening to one player week in, week out, but it's another if it's an entire unit. It's one thing if it's multiple guys every single week, different guys having problems. One week they look okay, the other, they don't know what's going on. To me, that speaks to coaching. You can talk about all of the free agents that just haven't really lived up to their deals. CJ Uzomah, right? Again, Allen Lazard. Randall Cobb was, signed a cheap contract, but his role within the offense was pretty significant. Laken Tomlinson, McCole Hardman, Dalvin Cook, Tim Boyle, Billy Turner, nobody outside of Tyler Conklin, who came in, the same class as Laken and CJ. We have a lot of areas offensively, a lot of different free agents where you're just looking across the board, production versus what they're getting paid. Respect, when you compare that to the rest of the NFL, when you compare, production or similar productions rather, the pay for the Jets, the annual pay rate is a lot higher than what it should be. And that to me is an issue. So again, tying it all back to the main question here, is it the right decision to bring these guys back? Some would say yes. Some would say no. Some would say maybe a mix of both. Keep Douglas, fire Saleh. Keep Douglas, keep Saleh, fire Hackett. Get rid of everybody, right? Like there's a lot of different scenarios, but the bottom line is everybody's coming back. And I hope to God that they know what they're doing, and that we're not just walking forward blindly, trusting Aaron Rodgers and everything that comes with that, and just saying, Aaron knows best. He's our new GM. He's our new head coach. He's our new decision maker. He's our new leader. And that be the plan. Because that, from the outside looking in, that's kind of what it seems like. And it's not when if that's how you want to roll as a franchise, that's how you want to roll. But that better work. It better work. It better be able to beat Baltimore. It better be able to beat Cleveland. Right? You look at the Chiefs, the Raiders under Antonio Pierce. We got blown out by Antonio Pierce on prime time. Blown out, but Brandon Staley and the Chargers. Swept by Miami. Embarrassed both times. Beat by Buffalo late in the season. We have to make sure we know what we're doing here. The AFC is loaded. This is not news to anybody. We have to make sure we have a bulletproof plan in place. Last year, 2023, there wasn't one. The plan was Rodgers stays healthy. He's going to do everything. He's going to make the O-line better. He's going to audible Hackett's plays. He's going to make wide receivers better. He got hurt. Jets had no plan, and we didn't even attempt to get out of it. So we'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I really, really am looking forward to diving into this one and seeing where you guys stand with it. Is it right? Is it wrong? Would you guys make a change? I mean, we're at the point of the season too where we're talking about different candidates, right? The Ben Johnsons of the world, the Jim Harbaughs of the world. These guys are getting talked about, and a part of me is like, man, there's some really, really good candidates out there, both at head coach and general manager. And I don't know, it's definitely a weird feeling for sure, knowing that we underachieved in so many different areas and that everything is totally fine. It doesn't really seem like we have that much, pressure on the organization internally within the organization. Like they're viewing it as everything is totally fine. And no, the expectation was 6 wins this year. So let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching. Happy New Year. And as always, go Jets.